So hello, Jill. Hello, Jill Sampson in Wales. How are you?
I'm fine, Karen. How are you?
I'm I'm fine. So yeah, I'm Karen, and I'm from Wise Women Weekdays. And today I'm chatting with Jill, who's a medium or clairvoyant, and we're just having a bit of a giggle because each time we try and do this interview, something gets in the way, doesn't it? It freezes, or the energy, in the room, on the computer or the laptop or the phone. So we're having a bit of fun and games with this. Are we, are there people, is there energy interfering here, Jill? What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe it's just a signal. I don't know.
It could
Maybe it's
just be the
just
signal. Okay, well, they said
it's going really well.
let's see how far we go this time. So,
Okay.
luckily, we were only a couple of minutes in, and I was asking you about how you found your way into being a medium. So, if you wouldn't mind just letting us know.
It's fine. Yeah, because I used to have a big fear of death because as a child, things were represented by graveyards and horror films that I never watched, but and things like Halloween, which is all about fear. And it literally put the fear of God into me. But then as I eventually many years ago started training, over 20 years ago, started training as an aromatherapist and then studied spiritual aromatherapy, Indian head massage, reflexology, and then that led me magically into Reiki. And then I ended up being a Reiki master teacher, and I teach Reiki, which is fantastic. And my mom, bless her heart, she was my first client on the couch for at first degree Reiki, and she's given me permission to share the story. And something quite profound happened during the Reiki healing treatment, and that because spirit were there, and that opened me up to working with spirit. And Reiki can, if it's meant to be, open people up to working spiritually or not. It depends on what's in your life's plan. But it was lovely. And if you want me to share the story, what happened with my mum, I will. And if you don't want me to, that's fine as well. It's gone frozen again, Karen. I can't hear you, or you're not moving. Oh, there you're back.
I've moved now. You froze again. This is crazy.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
carry on and just see because it seemed to be the same time that we were.
Okay. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll get a blip. Okay. So I was
yeah.
just saying that if you wanted me to share the story of what happened with my mum during her first Reiki
Yeah,
treatment,
let me come back to that. So, just for people that might not know what Reiki is, Jill, give us a little idea, just briefly. What is Reiki?
okay. So Reiki, it means universal energy.
Hmm.
And there's an energy in the world that surrounds us that keeps us alive, basically, like a spirit. And for the purposes of healing, we just tap into that power. So if somebody's coming for a Reiki healing session, literally their spirit will pull as much healing energy through me as they need at that moment in time. And it's very, very simple. It's very, very gentle, and you don't have to direct it anywhere. Your spirit knows where it needs to go. So there are the Reiki hand positions. So we start off at the head and work our way down over
Yeah.
mainly the chakras of the body. But then if there's more healing required in one area, sometimes my hands will get stuck there. I literally can't move them onto the next position. So there needs more healing. So it's very intuitive as well. You just go with the flow. And it's very, very powerful. People don't have to get undressed for a Reiki healing treatment, and it can be done on a chair or also on the couch. And when I teach Reiki, first degree Reiki, it's very much about heal thyself. So it's
Hmm.
very much about the self when I teach 4 students maximum, because it's a very intimate and can be very, very profound experience for people. And it's nice to have that intimacy and give my students that support while they're here. And it's lovely. It's very, very gentle, non-invasive, and literally just working away over the physical body and mainly the chakra points of the body. And it's lovely. It's really, really
And so
beautiful.
the energy that you're working with, I'm assuming it's not your energy, it's universal
No.
energy or it's spiritual
Yes,
energy.
it's universal energy because many, many years ago, Dr. Usui, who discovered Reiki,
Mhm.
he studied other forms of healing, but they depleted the person given the
Yeah,
treatment. And with Reiki, it doesn't deplete you because that power is passing through you. It
yeah,
actually energizes you, which is lovely because as a healer, you don't want to give away your power. And
Yeah.
there's no good being everyone taking your energy and you having none left for yourself. So
Energy
it's very
vampires.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's
So there
very
you were
important.
doing your Reiki, you're practicing your Reiki, and then you had like a moment. Was it a Eureka moment with your mother? What actually happened?
Yeah, she was my first guinea pig, if you like, on the couch at first degree of Reiki many, many years ago. I started giving her the Reiki healing, and about 10 minutes through, she said, Jill, I said, yes, Mum. And she said, you're burning Mandarin essential oil. I can smell oranges. And I said, no, with Reiki, it's just literally hands-on. There's no essential oils used. That's aromatherapy. I said, no, Mum, that's fine, but just go with it. If you can smell oranges, that's fine. And then I just carried on. I just let it be. And then she started sobbing. And I just put my hand on her shoulder and carried on. And I said, it's okay, you're safe. Just let it be. Whatever needs to come out, that's fine. After the end of the treatment, after an hour, it's normally approximately an hour. My mum, bless her, she sat up on the side of the couch and she wept and wept and wept. And I comforted her, I held her, gave her some water. I said, it's okay, if something's there, it needs to come out, let it come out. And she's given me permission to still share this story. And I said, what happened? And she said she was aware of the smell of oranges, and that took her back to her childhood. And then she started hearing the nursery rhyme, Oranges and Lemons, the Bells of St. Clement's, in her mind. And that took her back to a not so nice episode in her life, where basically her father had abused her. And that brought that memory back. And then she said that my grandfather actually came into the room spiritually and put his hand on her shoulder and actually said, I'm sorry.
Okay, wow.
And it was such a profound moment for her. And she was in her 60s then. And she said for the first time in her life, she actually then could forgive him and then move on. So that was a major, major turning point in her life. And that is, that kind of thing can happen.
Yeah.
It was really, really, and she said, oh, thank you. I said, well, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And that was the first Reiki. And
So
but
prior
it
to
was
that,
really
Jill,
important.
had you had experience of any spiritual entities or clairvoyance or mediumship up until then?
No, all I remember is as a child, I used to play with imaginary friends, and a
Yeah.
lot of children do that. And it's interesting, Karen, because when a lot of people say that because when babies are born and they're young spirits that have just touched on the earth plane, and they are very, very aware and can be like animals. Some animals are, some animals aren't. And children and babies, they are very, because they're young, fresh spirits, if you like, they are very, very intuitive and very aware. It's and I used to be a nursery nurse, so I work with children, so it's lovely. Yeah. And if children sometimes draw a picture of a dog, they may draw a purple dog. But then adults will say, don't be silly, you can't have a purple dog. But obviously what the children are seeing is the aura around that animal or a person, and it should be encouraged. It's wonderful. But as children grow older, that sort of instinct, their spirituality sort of gets knocked out of them by sometimes cynical adults, and it's such a shame. And this is why then they live their life, which all children should, and have fun, which children should. But then it's normally later on in life where people have that a sort of a knowing or an urge inside of them that there must be something else to life, and then they go searching, and then they find.
I had a friend of mine many years ago when my children were 7, 8, 9, and now they're all in their 20s. And the mums, we'd meet 3 mums and there'd be 8 children. And one of these kids called Ben, he could still see the aura. And to him, it was just like a normal thing. And,
Yes,
it was a bit of a party trick for us, because people would come in the room and would say, oh, Ben, what colour is his aura? Ben, and Ben would be playing. There'd be Power Rangers, the 3 of these boys. And we keep, it's saying, oh, blue, okay, and off you go. And then the next time, what kind of the aura? And it was just like so normal for him.
Exactly.
And I would say try and keep that within him. But as you say, when we go through life, you're going to school and you're going to college, and it does get knocked out of you, which is a bit of a shame. Because so we all have it. We all have this tool, this skill, this gift.
Yes, and it's because we are spirit. You know, when people get so caught up on, oh, where is spirit? And it's funny because every medium I know has always said the spirit world. And when I was sitting for spirit, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, they said stop saying the spirit world, because it conjures up that spirit is up there or over there, or God forbid down there. And it's not, we are spirit here and now. And there's no division, there's no separation between us and our loved ones that may have passed on, because you're still connected and you're still very close, if you were close, because you are one and the same. And it is so wonderful, because people say, oh, and if you say the spirit world, it makes it seem like it's hard to access. So if we
Like
just
a
say we are
separate
spirit,
entity.
yeah, and it's not, we are spirit, we're all connected. And it's lovely where, you know, sometimes if you meet somebody and you think, oh, I really gel with that person, and it's just because you're on the same wavelength and you're just meant to be. And even the people necessarily that sometimes we don't gel with, you know, sometimes they're there to teach you a lesson, and teach you a little bit more about loving and who to open your heart to. And I've done a reading on YouTube in the important things in life, and that's really, really true. That it's a lovely, lovely reading, and it's so true that people are here to teach us about ourselves and our own potential. And sometimes we put limits on our potential, and it's lovely when you sit in the attunement and in that power of spirit, because when you know there are no limits, anything is possible, and it's wonderful. Just realizing your power, the power of love, and it can take you wherever, and it opens up doorways, and just trust in your own instinct, because that is your spirit.
Yes.
And it's very simple. I like to keep it simple. It's very, very simple.
So being a medium, and what is the difference then? So you've got clairvoyant and clairaudient and clairsensing. So maybe we can go through those, but then you've also got the medium and the spirit. You know, are you a spiritualist or a medium? Are you a clairvoyant? Is there a difference in all these?
Yeah, a psychic is picking up intuitively of the person here, the person present. A medium is picking up that power of the life of the person that's passed on.
Right. Okay.
So, and this is why when I teach, I like teaching it, because I'm very old school. I like to teach the basics, because people do get very confused. And the minute you say clairvoyant to somebody, they picture somebody on the end of a pier with a crystal ball. Now, as a medium, we work sometimes clairvoyantly, which just means clear seeing. That's all it means. Clair means clear. So I sometimes work clairvoyantly. Sometimes I work more clairsentiently. So I'm more clear sensing. And there's claircognizance, which means clear knowing, when you just know something. There's clairaudience, when you hear something. But clairaudiently and clairvoyant could be objectively or subjectively. And subjectively is when it's in your mind and your third eye, your brow chakra. So but we all work in different ways. Some people are more clairaudient, some are more clairvoyant, which just means clear seeing. So I'm very sort of strict with mediumship. And when I host demonstrations of mediumship, I would never call it a psychic night, because a psychic is working, picking up everything from you, from your aura, and it's everything you know about yourself, which is still, it takes a while to develop, but it's completely different working as a medium, because spirit will contact me this way and give me the information from those that have passed on. I'm tapping into that power of the person that is in spirit. A psychic is picking up on the person here present. That's the difference.
Why are people sometimes in fear of this, would you say?
Again, because I think it's that bringing up from children, because death is represented so wrongly. And things like Halloween, I would ban them, because it is such the wrong thing, because you're teaching children to be in fear, and all this trick and treating stuff. It's not about love, which I feel very much from a young age we should be encouraging children with love. And it's very, very simple, because like you said, love is the opposite of fear. It's not hate, it's love and fear. So it's lovely just to be in that power of love. And you know, and just to be present in the moment, and just it's very much with working spiritually is finding out about yourself.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Working on yourself first, and then opening up to that power spirit. And it's so beautiful, and it's so full of love. I always said to people, Karen, that when I sit in that power spirit, when I tune to spirit, I feel absolutely touched by love, and you can feel it. It's quite tangible. And I always say that I wish I could bottle it and put a stopper on it. And then if I see somebody or meet somebody that's feeling down or fed up, I just want to open the stopper on this bottle and just let them be surrounded by love. It's so beautiful, and it's actually tangible. And I also sit for trance. I'm a trance medium, so my spirit guides will speak philosophy through me. You don't get taken over or anything like this. It's just so simple. I just open my mouth and stuff comes out. The same as mental mediumship when you're given a message. And it's so powerful that, you know, when I sit and other people have been here, they can actually feel the love in the room, and it's so wonderful. It's so positive, and it's all about positivity and love, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. So therefore, I'm going to ask you about the poltergeist activity. So because I'm agreeing with what you say, but what about the poltergeist activity? Again, we have seen that through movies and what have you, but does that exist?
Well, what is happening there is it's normally where there's teenagers in the household, or there's lots of like negative energy going on, and things just happen. Nothing like that movie. It's horrible, that movie. It's nothing like that. It's just basically picking up on negativity. That's what it is. And you know, sometimes if you maybe house hunting or something,
Yeah.
or you go to a house and you walk in and you go, oh, I don't like it here.
Yeah.
There's nothing nasty. It's just there may have been a lot of rows, people arguing, and you actually picking up, and your solar plexus here. That's where you sense a lot from, and that's where you get that fight or flight feeling as well. You know, like if something's happening, you get fight or flight, and that's all you're sensing from your solar plexus. So all what's happening is if you go to your house hunting and you walk into a property, and you think, oh, I don't like it. Maybe the people had lots of rows there, and that energy is staying there, and it also goes out on the ether. So I always say to people, be very careful of what you're thinking, because it goes somewhere. There's cause and effect, the law of karma. So if you're feeling negative, it's very important to change that negative thought into a positive one very quickly, because it goes somewhere. It doesn't just hang around, and that's basically just what you're picking up on. And it's normally when there's sort of teenagers, there's lots of hormones going on, and there may be rows, and it's just, you know, you're picking up on that negative energy.
Like an emotional thing. Okay. And but therefore because with the poltergeist, allegedly, according to the movie, things can be lifted and moved. I mean, is that possible in the spirit world?
Yeah, I've studied physical mediumship as well, which is very different. There was a great Alec Harris, a great physical medium. He was born in Treherbert in the Rhondda Valley in Wales. And he was one of the finest physical mediums. Now, what happens there, people used to sit in seances, and they used to travel miles and miles and walk for, you know, across mountains to sit with Alec Harris. I would have loved to sit with him, because he had seances, and like most of us, you don't wake up one day saying, oh, I'm going to be a medium. It just something happens to put you on that pathway if it's meant to be. And he really resisted it, and he was interested in healing, and then he ended up being a physical medium. What happens then, where people used to sit in the old-fashioned seances, so the medium would sit still, and the people in the seance would give their power to the physical medium, and then physical phenomena would happen. So I've got one on my dress up there. There's like a trumpet. It's not an instrument trumpet. It's a seance trumpet. And with enough energy, but it takes many years for people to give. And sadly, this doesn't happen nowadays, because people just want to watch TV and they're all in their own world. And I really feel that I need to sit again for physical mediumship, because people give. And it may take years and years of getting that power right for the physical media. And then what happens with the seance trumpet, have you heard of a thing called ectoplasm?
Yes.
Yes. So the physical medium will exude this ectoplasm, which comes from the Greek word meaning formed outside. something formed outside ectoplasm, and it exudes from the medium's orifices, so their mouth, their nose, and it comes from the pancreas. So that's why mediums have to be careful what they eat. And it exudes out, and it's a really smelly, horrible substance. And then spirit make rods out of the ectoplasm, and they actually lift the seance trumpet and then move it around. And then also with time, I mean, that, you know, spirits say that's just a party trick.
Okay. I guess it's like,
but then it will develop into Alec Harris used to have 20 to 30 materializations of actual loved ones building up in the seance room out of ectoplasm, and people could actually converse, and as that is seeing is believing, because if you saw your loved one built up in a seance room out of ectoplasm and had a conversation with them, even if you're spiritually aware or not, if you actually saw that, that is the ultimate proof, isn't it? It's wonderful.
Kind of convincing. So through the medium, they would create they would bring the ectoplasm out of their body, and that would then be in the shape of the person, the deceased person that you're communicating with, which is wow, that's quite amazing.
I would have loved to sit with Alec Harris.
And what about, I mean, nowadays I come across so many people that I'm just stroking my dog. If anybody wants to let me answer, the dog is looking at me. So a lot of people have like downloads these days, don't it? At 3 o'clock at night, I had a download. I mean, is that because they're channeling, they're tuning in, they're just becoming more connected?
It's because they're relaxed.
Right, okay.
And they haven't got the distraction of the TV or work, or, you know, people seem to be so busy doing nothing nowadays. We're supposed to have more time with modern appliances and to give us more time, but people just seem incredibly busy, but to the point of, hang on a minute, this isn't life, is it? It's not life. So when you're asleep, sometimes people astral travel as well, and you get downloads, and it's a good idea to keep a pen and notepad next to the bed so you can write down dreams or information, but that's because you're in a relaxed state. And also, I was talking about being a trance medium. The correct terminology, Karen, should be altered states of consciousness. That's the correct term, because like if I was talking to you now, or somebody was here and they were started to look out the window and you start daydreaming, that's an altered state of consciousness.
Yes,
it's very simple. And then when you go to bed, talking about sleep, you know, sometimes when just before you're about to drop off, you feel you actually start dreaming that you're stepping off a curb. That's one of the that's an altered state. So that is very, very simple, because people again get hung up on that word trance. They think you're being possessed. It's absolutely not that. You're just blending with spirit, the same as when you give it a mental mediumship message. It's just a blending, and it's so lovely and natural.
And I think, again, you know, when you think about our children when they're younger, they're quite often in that state, aren't they? They're in a daydream, and they'd be, I mean, at school, I remember, you know, there's Dolly daydream over there, because they're not
that phrase.
Just sitting at the desk and looking at the blackboard or whatever it is these days, the iPad. And sometimes we need to sort of go off and daydream and be creative, and it's like it's sort of knocked out of us to a certain extent as we're in the system.
And people always nowadays feel that they have to be busy doing something the whole time rather than just sitting. And you don't have to sit cross-legged like this. You know, the best way of just meditating or being connected with nature and spirit is just going out and standing barefoot on the grass and just being at one with all life. It's so simple. Or going for a walk, and the more, say if you're going for a 20-minute walk just in the woods or somewhere by the beach, by the sea is amazing, because it's very cathartic, it's very healing. I'm a Piscean, so I love the sea. It's very powerful to me. And just walking and just not on your phones. Why are people so obsessed with phones nowadays and put them away and everything? Just, you know, because that is giving you information that may not always be correct. And it's finding out things for yourself and exploring what feels right to you. And if you go for a walk by the sea or in nature, you know, within 5 or 10 minutes, you're just starting to become calm. You start noticing things that you never would have noticed before. And just being at one with all life and nature. Nature is our greatest teacher. It's wonderful. I have animals here. I have donkeys, ducks and doves at my retreat. And I've learned so much, Karen, just by watching the animals' instincts and learning. And it's just, leave your phones behind and just, switch off and get back to real life. This is living. And it's so important, because the more people are like this, they're not communicating with each other, let alone source. And it's so important. I've felt for a long time that I've been saying for years, I have a feeling that we're going to go back to things like bartering. And, that's an exchange of energy, which I teach at Reiki, because there must be an exchange of energy. So when people have studied first-degree Reiki, they practice on their family and friends, but there must be an exchange. So no money. That's later on as a practitioner. But with first-degree Reiki, so if you've given somebody a Reiki treatment, they will cut your hair or mow your lawn for you or cook you a meal. There must be that energy exchange. And that's what really life is all about. If we help other people, and then reciprocated by helping them out. I've had a really strong feeling for many years, Karen, we need to go back to bartering and that exchange of energy, and just looking out for each other as a community, and being loving people, which is lovely.
Well, I think that, I would totally concur with that. I think there is perhaps a need for an exchange of something, whether it's money or pebbles or buttons. I don't know. But going back, to the initial days, they didn't have money, did they? And now money's gone a little bit wonky anyway.
Exactly.
I don't know if I've already done the talk about money, but for those that don't understand where money comes from, we will do it. Might have been at one of the presentations that I just listened to recently, but we'll leave the money thing there. But I totally hear you. I totally agree, and I think it's a lovely way to live, because it brings community together.
Yes.
And that's what's really important, isn't there? So
and
many
sharing. And
sharing.
We've all got skills to offer each other. And it's, people say, oh, I don't work, I don't do this, but everybody's got something they can give. And it's what I'm trying to build up here at Eva's Retreat, that sense of community. So if people want to come and camp on my land, they can help with jobs around the land, or just or singing around the camp, the fire pit, and bringing in musical instruments and drumming. I love drumming. It's so powerful, because that really powers up your own spirit. And it's amazing for something so loud with the drum, I've got one over here, that it actually really gets your spirit going. And I also teach chanting at my workshops and retreat weekends, and chanting is so powerful. And every single time I've taught chanting at my weekends, people say, oh, I'm not doing that, I can't sing. And I said, it's not about singing, it's a letting of your spirit be heard. So I just get everybody stand in a circle, we just close eyes, and there's a beautiful chant called Om Namah Shiva, and it's just repetitive, and everybody eventually joins in. And I say, I'm not going to judge you singing, it's not a singing competition. I said, look, just close your eyes, nobody's going to look, and just let your spirit sing. And it's so powerful, Karen. And in the end, it's almost like the power of spirit is joining in. It's almost like angels are singing and joining in. You can actually hear other chanting above it in the circle. It's amazing. And at the end, I will be inspired by spirit. I sometimes put somebody in the middle, and we just send them healing, or I put my hands on them. And it's very powerful. Sometimes people just let go, because we all carry so much stress around, and just having that permission and giving yourself permission just to be, and it all comes out. And then I send people off in the peace garden just to connect with nature. And everybody says after, oh my God, that was amazing. And they said, can we do it again? I said, yes, we do it at the end of the day. So I said, never say never. Always be open to any new experiences, because unless you've lived it, unless you've tried it, how can you say you like it or not? And every single person I've had here has said, wow, I love it. So it's great.
What life is, isn't it? Life is just a journey of experiences, and I don't think things are necessarily failures. Things might not always go the way you want them to, but there's a lesson in that. So you just do it again, pick yourself up, do it again, and then you learn.
Down.
And if you don't get it right the next time, okay. So eventually you'll get there.
Lesson learned, and just it's learning about yourself. It's very important, and just going with the flow.
On that line, I mean, do you think therefore that when we have all learned so many lessons, and perhaps do we get to a state where there are no more lessons to learn, so we don't come back? I mean, this is reincarnations. Do you believe in reincarnation?
No.
You don't? That's interesting.
There's a lot of debate about reincarnation. What I'd like to explain, so let me just have a sip of water.
Yes, it does get into I'm on the water, by the way. It's not the gin.
Yes,
I don't drink.
It's good
the water.
So what I explain it to people, Karen, so So some people believe in God, some people don't, that's fine. Some people believe in spirit, or they don't, that's fine. But what I see, so I feel we're all that glass of water. We're all
Okay.
part of the divine, we're all part of that water. And when you're born, a droplet of the divine is living this life,
Yeah.
and another one, and so on and so on. We're all part of the whole. And when we pass over, pass on, pass away, die, whatever you want to call it, we are still a droplet of that water. And then another droplet of water will be born and live a different life. But I don't believe that Jill Sampson will reincarnate as a whole different person called Joe Bloggs in another country, another land, whatever. This is my feeling. We're all part of that. So that's why we have a lot of knowledge, because we just go back to source. We're all in that glass of water. That's the only way I can explain how I feel. So this is why great musicians are great with classical music, Mozart and people like that. Now, how did they get all that information, and how do people discover things? Because it's all in there, and you're just tapping into that, and that's why, that all that love, all that power is all there. And I don't believe one whole person dies and in 20, 30, 1,000 years time reincarnates as a whole person. And the way I look at it is, my mum Eva, her name means breath of life, which is lovely. So I'm trying to bring a breath of life into mediumship and to humanity and to spirituality. I'm going to meet my mum again one day. I know I am. I absolutely know. And if she's reincarnated somewhere else, I'm like, excuse me, where are you? So if we're all part of the whole, if that makes sense, it's very simplistic, but that's the way I like to look at things. So we're all part of that. And that's when, great musicians or composers have that inspiration. Where does that come from? I believe very much it's all part of the divine, all part of that whole. And we just get those, like you said before, downloads, inspiration, whatever you want to call it. And it's so simple. And that's the way I like to, and I teach mediumship very simply as well, very simply, keeping your feet on the ground.
So when we were talking about like being in tune with spirit or with nature or with yourself, as we are spirit, at the beginning of this, just before, you did a lovely attunement for me.
Yeah.
So just give me a little idea, and maybe after this we'll do it as a separate video. You can do that for those people that want an attunement.
Okay. Basically, so I used to teach guided meditation. So, if people see it and they say, you go over a bridge, or you go through a field, or you sit by a pond and all this, that's called a guided meditation, which is great as well. Very, very powerful. And then if you leave somebody in that silence while you're in a guided meditation, then obviously, because you're using your imagination. So if I said to you, Karen, oh, you're sitting by a lake, you would see that with your imagination, which is wonderful. But then you need to, open it more and expand out to the influence and the presence of spirit. So now when I teach attunement to spirit. So basically I get people to close their eyes, like I did with you, very gently, and just focus on the breath of life. Because a lot of people say, take a really deep breath, but you don't breathe like that normally. So it's just breathe in and out, very gentle, just normally, just find your own natural rhythm of the breath. And then I talk people through, just feel your physical body relaxing and just become in tune with your own spirit once more, which, your instinct is your own spirit. And we really need to trust that more. And then I take people through that. And it's sometimes different because I just listen to spirit and I will guide people through that. And it's just, it's just very, very important to make the time just to be. Because as I said before, everybody's racing around and people are so busy being busy, and rather than just sitting and listening to their own instincts and their own spirit and just accessing that. And then that's when I just encourage people to say to spirit, I'm here for you as you are for me. And it's very, very simple. And then just opening yourself up and just being still and quiet and seeing what happens. And then, you know, as I did with you, sometimes that spirit influence will come in and you'll feel the presence of your loved ones because they're waiting so much for that opportunity. And they're sometimes trying to get your attention and you're so busy or on your phone and you're like, they're saying, hello, I'm still here. I still want to connect with you. I still love you, because love cannot be broken. It's the greatest power and it can never be destroyed. It's so wonderful. And they're sometimes wanting to get through to you. And you're so busy not being still and listening to what they're trying to tell you. I mean, I've listened to my mum the whole time. It's not that she says, oh, Jill, by the way, do this, apart from when I kept hearing, you have to move to Wales, move. And I was going, okay, mum, and I'm finally here, nearly 7 years ago, and it's wonderful. But it's just listening and giving spirit the opportunity to communicate.
And we can all do that. Do we all have that ability if we allow the chattering monkeys to sort of just be quiet?
Yes.
And get off our phones, because technology has made our lives very busy, because we I don't know, we're exposed to so much information so rapidly. You can just find answers, you know, before you've even asked the question. So if we put the technology away for a little bit and sat in nature or in a quiet place, we could all tune in and trust ourselves, going back to trusting our instincts.
Because your instinct is your spirit. And if something feels, this is why I've learned a lot over the last few years, because, you know, if something doesn't feel right, why doesn't it feel right? And explore it. Why doesn't it feel right? And explore. And if something feels right, go with it, because that's your spirit. Because you all know if you made the wrong decision, you think, hang on a minute, that wasn't right. I should have listened to myself.
You need to adapt your spirit, your inner knowing. So the big question, Jill, this is the big one, because the world's a bit topsy-turvy at the moment, all sorts of weird and wonderful things are happening.
Yes.
If you tuned into spirit and spoke with your, you know, your past ancestors, relatives, and said, okay, or anybody else, what's going to happen, you know, in 2 years' time or next week, would they give the answer? Could they? Or is there a golden rule that they're not allowed to?
Well, as mediums, we're not allowed to give predictions.
Okay.
That's an absolute no-no. You know,
and
I've heard
not allowed to. I mean, is there a board of mediumship?
Well, it's just, I mean, I did you know, I used to be a medium on platform. I would have called myself a spiritualist, but I don't like labels. So now I just call myself a being of love.
Okay, lovely.
All these labels in life, you know, I hate labels, and I never fit in a box anywhere. And it's just, you know, it's just it really is. You know, so if you said to somebody, oh, you're going to meet the man of your dreams in 2 years' time, people will go out of their way to make that happen.
Okay.
Or if somebody said, oh, you're going to go to a party in February in the next 2 years, you'll go to it and you'll make that happen.
Right.
And I mean, it's just, you know, it's so really we shouldn't be given predictions. But saying that, in the olden days where there was all the old-fashioned mediums, they would have given predictions, but it's not your job as a medium to give predictions. So when the job as a medium is to reunite you with that your loved one, but we can all do it ourselves. You don't need a medium to join you with your mum, your dad, your brother, your uncle. The job of a medium is to give evidence to the recipient of their loved one's survival, first of all, that you can't die for the life of you, that it's just in a different form now when we lose this physical body, and it's to provide evidence of that loved one. So you'd bring up, they would give you information that's quite unique to that person, because you're feeling it this way from spirit. And that's the job of a medium. But that's very, very different to because I do at the end of a reading, if people come, just in case I don't get a spirit link, but they don't normally let me down. But again, it's always an experiment. You can't conjure people up. And sometimes, you know, people need to come with an open mind. So I get who I get. And that's it, because there may be a person that wants to come through with the right advice for that person at the moment in time. It may not be who they're expecting to come through. It might be their grandfather or old next door neighbor, because they're more wise about giving them, you know, their evidence and their guidance at that moment. But with like things like tarot cards are very, very different, because they're actually a blueprint of your life so far. so far. And they're very, very different to oracle cards, things like angel cards, mermaid cards, and all this. So with tarot cards, I normally get people to choose, they shuffle the pack, divide them. Do you want to pick some from A or B? And then take 3 cards from the pack and lay them out. So that the first one would be your past. The second one would be the present. And the third one would be the immediate future.
Okay.
The immediate future. And again, people have a fear of tarot because they see the death card and they go, oh no, is somebody going to die? It doesn't mean that. The death card is one of the best cards you can get. It means end of an era and the beginning of a new one. Something's, just fading away.
Yeah.
It's very, so again, I just feel into the power of the cards, but that is working psychically.
Yeah.
That is picking up information from the person and from the cards. But as a medium, you're getting it from spirit. Spirit give me the information to pass on. It's very different.
Do they cross over sometimes, the mediumship and
yes. All mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediumistic.
Okay. Got you.
Yes. Yeah.
So would you advise, everybody to tune into this if we have all got this skill, this tool, this sense, this knowing?
Yeah, because we're all spirit.
Yeah.
And it isn't hard to access. It's just there. But like we said, putting things away and just giving ourselves time to go back to source, back to us, the real us. And it's, so nowadays, Karen, people don't like to sit in the quiet. They have to have TV on in background. They have to have radios on. They have to have some kind of noise. And, we're all vibration. And some music is very negative. And it's the wrong hertz. It's all very depressing, like modern music nowadays. I don't like it because it's the wrong hertz. I think everything should be on 32 hertz. And if it's on 40 hertz, it's very negative. And we're all vibration. It's things like I use singing bowls. They're very, very powerful. And like we're saying, the drum, because we're made up of water. We're like 80 to 90% water. And our organs they need to resonate at the right frequency. And if they don't, that's where people get ill or disease. Because as a therapist, the word disease, if you break it down, is dis-ease. So if you're not at ease with yourself, certain physical symptoms will come out, and it's your spirit's way of going, hello, take care of yourself, eat quality food, drink water, have exercise, meditate. Because we all vibrate at different frequencies, and so do our organs. So things like singing bowls and drumming and chanting can actually bring that organ back to the right frequency and vibration. So then your organs become healthy because they're vibrating at the right frequency. It's really, really so simple, and it'd be nice if we got back to these simple ways. It's so important.
Lovely, Jill. I think many of us are. I think many people are. They've sort of had enough of living, in this busyness, this head space is full. You can't. And I'm running from here to there, and then I have to really think, I'm going to sit down and be still now. Stroking my dog, I love, or walking with a dog.
Dogs are amazing. Yeah, I look after dogs. I do dog boarding as well. And they're so brilliant, dogs, because they're just in the moment of now.
They are, and I sometimes see my dogs walk from one room to another, and I'm thinking, what's made them do that? It could be food, but why have they put up and just walk the other? But normally, otherwise, they're just happy sitting still, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just in the moment.
In the moment.
And dogs only live in the moment of now. It's it's a whole new subject, but dogs live in the moment of now, and we should do as well. It's very important just being.
Well, listen, Jill, I think it's been really interesting talking to you. I'm so grateful. We finally got there.
Yes.
We finally got there.
See, it's technology again.
So for those that are watching this or have watched it, if you do like it, please, put a like, put a comment, subscribe to our channel, because the more subscribers we get, obviously, the more videos like this we can do. And I think this is an open door for many more. In my mind, I'm thinking if you would be happy to maybe offer something on a Sunday evening or something, a spiritual Sunday, perhaps, if people can tune in and chat and see what comes out of it, because I think this is so important. It's right up my street. I've got singing bowls and dogs and I love all the healing stuff. So I'm totally on your page. But so thank you very, very much. I'm so pleased to
Blessings to
special
you.
to you. And yeah, and I will see you soon. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Karen.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye bye
Thank
now.
you.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye. Bye.